Welcome to the weekend edition of the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. I'm Michael Thompson, and hello, Sean Aylmer.
Hello, Michael.
Sean, on weekdays, it's all about the Fast 5, which is the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. On the weekend, we're still going to keep it to 5 minutes, of course, but we're going to pick out the biggest business story of the week, the most remarkable business story, a sleeper story, one that's not getting the attention that it probably should, and our favourite story as well. Let's jump into it with the biggest story of the week. Can I nominate one here, Sean?
Please do.
Well, I think there was really only one massive story that just dominated everything, and it's the government's backflip on the already legislated Stage 3 tax cuts. Now, the context is important because these tax cuts came from the former coalition government. The biggest beneficiaries were higher income earners. Now, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has repeatedly said that they wouldn't be changing the tax cuts because they're already legislated. It was an election promise. It is now a backflipped election promise. And it's fascinating because in changing their mind on this, the government is actually creating so many more winners. The changes include things like lowering the 19% tax rate for incomes up to $45,000, and they're lowering that rate down to 16% and reinstating the 37% tax rate for those earning between $135,000 and $190,000. I'm not going to go into all of the figures here because they are just everywhere through the media at the moment, but it is just a big, big story because it is a broken promise. The opposition will have a bit of a field day with it, but it's a broken promise that benefits a whole lot of people. So the government is going to really have its work cut out for it to sell that message and see whether they can get through this one.
Yeah, biggest story of the week. Honorary mention to what's happening in the lithium market. Lithium prices last year were down 80%. We had a bunch of companies come out this week. Pilbara Minerals, Sayona Mining, Liontown Resources, Core Lithium, all having to make strategic or financial changes because lithium prices have tanked. We're going to hear a lot more about that.
Most remarkable story. What do you reckon, Sean?
Well, the rise and fall of Domino's. After delivering its fourth downgrade in 3 years, Domino's share price tumbled 30% in about an hour one day this week. It's now worth about a quarter of what it was in the middle of COVID when, of course, everyone had to eat at home and were buying takeaway pizzas. It gave this trading update that basically said sales are falling in Asia and Europe, having real trouble in Japan, Taiwan, Malaysia and France. Therefore, it won't earn as much money this year as it did last year. This is a company that for years has promoted the fact that it's opening new stores and growing. Suddenly, it's shrinking. Previous update at the AGM in November last year, much more upbeat. That's now putting pressure on Don May, the CEO. Just as an aside, Jack Cowan, biggest shareholder, lost hundreds of millions of dollars this week in the sell-off. Incredible.
Ouch. All right, my most remarkable story, Sean, and I know I did it last week, but it's just getting another very quick run this week. It's Donald Trump steamrolling his way to the Republican nomination for the US presidential election. We had the New Hampshire primary. He only had one opponent there this week, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley. He won that one by a margin of about 10%. Nikki Haley isn't dropping out. Plenty of pressure to do so. The big test is going to be South Carolina. She used to be the governor of South Carolina. If she doesn't win that one, really, there's not much hope of anything coming out after that. But seriously, it is remarkable considering all the legal action against Donald Trump in multiple states across the US that we are looking like it is going to be Donald Trump versus Joe Biden.
Incredible, Michael.
Sleeper story. What did you pick for us, Sean?
For me, it's the story about the supermarkets. Now, we've heard lots about it, but I reckon this is the week that they truly realised they're going to have to change their behaviour. Woolies boss Brad Banducci did a mea culpa on the supermarket's decision to not sell Australia Day paraphernalia. He said it was a business decision, but he'd misread the political mood around it. Then later in the week, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese asked the consumer watchdog to conduct a 12-month inquiry into the industry following claims of price gouging. It's going to look at stuff like online shopping, loyalty programs, technology. Also, the difference between the price paid at the farm gate and the prices people pay at the checkout. The government will fund consumer organisation Choice to provide clear and regular information on prices. Why is this a sleeper story? Because I reckon the supermarkets are already changing their tune. I reckon we're going to see lower prices really, really soon. The supermarkets don't want to turn into the banks. They want to keep their clean image. So get ready for lower grocery prices, Michael.
That is a bit of good news for us, Sean. Now, favourite story. Can I nominate one that I suspect is actually potentially going to be one of the comeback stories of the year? It is all about Netflix, because a year or two ago we were reporting on a decline in subscribers and a reduction in content being commissioned, all that kind of thing. This week we heard that the company added more than 13 million subscribers during the last quarter of 2023, the biggest ever December growth for Netflix. It is just incredible the way it has come back. It's got the last season of The Crown, it's got the movie The Killer, it's got some fantastic content on there at the moment, but the fact that it has turned itself around in the last 12 to 18 months is just pretty spectacular.
Yeah, it sure is.
All right, there we go. 5 minutes and pretty much everything you need to know in the world of business. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
We'll be back on Monday morning with the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Don't forget to hit follow and join us online on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook and X. I'm Michael Thompson, and this is the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed.